Hey, hi, welcome to the new video. Here is one of the interview which was recently attended, and it was for one of the MNC company and 3 years of experience for especially DevOps role. Let me first of all discuss those questions. Later on, we'll discuss with the responses and how to answer in that particular case. Okay, and to be frankly, I am saying like if you have around 2 to 3 years of experience, they would expect some kind of technical stuff, and they are not going to deep dive. Okay, based upon the like role or else based upon your activity, like your requirement at that particular position, they may expect some in-depth technical skills also. So okay, without further ado, let's enter and discuss about this. After formal discussion, they have started with this: describe your CI/CD pipeline concepts and like whatever you have usually, like Jenkins, GitLab, whatever it might be. Explain the AWS load balancer types and when we need to use each of them, and differentiate git stash, git commit, and git merge. What is the difference between a Kubernetes deployment and DaemonSet? How do you implement shift left security like a DevSecOps approach? How do you configure Terraform remote state for collaboration? Walk me through the troubleshooting of a Kubernetes pod in CrashLoopBackOff. Explain the blue-green deployment within a Kubernetes. How do you set up the monitoring in Prometheus and Grafana? How do you secure your Docker images before deployment? And how can you migrate an on-prem application to AWS? And one moment. How do you manage Terraform modules and provide your dependencies? How do you run Ansible via Terraform, and describe implementation network policies within your Kubernetes? And have you handled secret management across environment, and how do you do that? Explain how the troubleshooting for a slow application performance within the AWS. What is the difference between continuous delivery and deployment? How do you configure your Kubernetes horizontal or pod autoscaler? How do you enforce security in Kubernetes cluster? Describe the process in incident response, like incident management within the production environment. Okay, these are the questions, and let's discuss one by one. By that you will get to know some new things after this discussion also. Okay, whenever you are going to answer a kind of CI/CD implementation, take a real-time example from your project working current organization, or your earlier previous project, like that. Okay, so by that they will get you will get also some confidence to explain some end-to-end demonstration, like just start with like how the flow will be, like checkout, and after that build, after that static code analysis, and then static application security testing and unit tests will be done. After that security checks and Docker build image will be built. After that Docker image will be scanned. Later on artifact will be pushed to a repository and deploying through the Kubernetes with the help of Helm, and then manual approval for the production. Like that you can explain the flow and explain the load balancer types and when each of them used. Basically in load balancer we have application load balancer, network load balancer, and classic load balancer. Whenever we are using like HTTP and HTTPS, then some host-based routing, and whenever we are using microservices, then this application load balancer, which is in layer 7, that will be helpful. And if it is in network load balancer, that is a layer 4 network, a load balancer. It is very suitable for high performance in TCP and UDP workloads with static IP and necessaries. And classic load balancer is helpful for some legacy cases, and it is usually be avoided. And Basically, these load balancers will be helpful to improve the availability for our, let's say, some banking portal is there, by automatically distributing the income traffic across EC2 instances, and targets by enabling some strategies like blue green strategy, canary deployment strategies like that. Okay, basically load balancer work was that differentiate git stash, git commit, and git merge. Basically, git stash is a temporary saving of uncommitted changes, and git commit is like committing the changes whatever we have done from local to the staging. And git merge is it is integrating of changes from one branch into the another. And what is the difference between Kubernetes deployment and DaemonSet? Deployment manages pods, replicas across the nodes, and it is ideal for stateless services. And DaemonSet, it will ensure one pod runs per each node and use it for logging and monitoring agents. Example, Prometheus node exporter, like that. And how do you implement a shift left security upload? If you have worked on or else if you have read some blogs or explored some tools, then you can easily answer this question also. We can integrate there is a, how we see in the software development lifecycle, there are different phases, right? In each and every phase, the corresponding DevSecOps component or tool will come into picture. Okay, like SAST, integrating a static application security testing tools like SonarQube, Fortify, and dependency scanning like WAPS dependency check. And we can run the image scanning with the help of Trevi and GitLab scanning to detect if there is any if there is any kind of hard-coded secrets within the source code. And dashed scan stage, like we are going to perform up and running website scan. And basically these are the different tools will come into picture, where in the early in the development life cycle itself, we are scanning and decreasing the overall software development life cycle. Okay, and moving to the next, how do you configure Terraform remote state for collaboration? How do you configure Terraform remote state? Let me take a pen. To configure, regarding the state file, remote backend in S3 with the state file, and we can use DynamoDB logging mechanism, and we can store the state in an encrypted format. State is basically saving a kind of settings. Okay, so the next question was, walk me through a troubleshooting a Kubernetes pod in CrashLoopBackOff. Whenever we are facing this CrashLoopBackOff, we need to perform view the event error, like kubectl describe pod to view the event error. It will show the what exactly the error, and kubectl logs to inspect the startup logs, and we'll get to know identifying misconfigured DB URL which is causing the failure, and updated config within the Helm charts, and we can redeploy and check. And we can also add liveliness and readliness probes and pre-deployment validation within a pipeline. And moving to the next, explain blue-green deployment in Kubernetes. Basically, blue-green deployment is basically we are going to deploy new version in separate green environment, and health test we are going to run in the green environment, that is new environment. And when after the health check is done and everything seems goes good, then we are going to switch the traffic by using a service label from a blue environment to a green environment. On success, we are going to delete the blue environment, and this approach will enable some there is no downtime, we can say zero downtime for especially banking microservices application. And how do you set up monitoring in Prometheus and Grafana? We are going to deploy Prometheus operator within a Kubernetes to auto discover what is the targets, and we are going to configure the Prometheus scrape configs for app metrics by using @Prometheus annotated, and we can build Grafana dashboards for latency or CPU memory error related dashboards, and we can set up the alerts. Let's say a pod restart is greater than 3 minutes or 5 minutes, we can trigger a message or email alert to the respective like targeted people. How do you secure Docker image before deployment? There are some Docker image scanning tools where we can integrate those tools in the CI continuous integration pipeline level itself, like Snake, Trevi. And once the Docker build is done, and before going to the deployment, it is going to be scanned in the pipeline. Okay, and we can set up a pipeline mechanism in such a way we can automatically fail the pipeline for some critical vulnerabilities within the Docker images. And we can use minimal base images like Alpine image, and we can apply multi-stage builds to, and also we can avoid root user, that is a best practice. And also scanning at each stage, that is also one of the best practice. How would you migrate an on-prem application to an AWS? To perform, we need to perform a cloud readiness assessment, like inventory, like what is the dependencies, is the EC2 is compliance, like all the things we need to perform. It's like readiness assessment, we can say. And then we can pick migration strategy, like lift and shift, or like whatever the migration strategy based upon our requirement, we need to choose the migration strategy, and we need to design the target architecture accordingly with what is the subnets and VPCs, security groups, IAM roles and policies, and what is the monitoring level of alerting dashboards, whatever requirements is there, we need to set up the everything infrastructure within the AWS. And then we use AWS migration script where database migration service, we can say, for data migration part, and then we can automate the infra with the help of Terraform plus a pipeline for provisioning and deployment both. Okay, and then we are going to validate with the load and we are going to perform a tests like failover tests, and then cut over incrementally based upon the like health check everything. That is how we can achieve migration application from on-prem to the AWS. How do you manage Terraform modules and provider dependencies? We can organize by using proper modules like VPC, EKS, RDS, EC2 like this for reusability purpose. Okay, modules is for reusability purpose. We can pin provider version in a provider block with a specific version attribute, and also we can log the module version via registry or git tags, where that will logs the version and state actually. And we can use state logging also, as I said, version logging, it is also state logging. With the help of S3 plus DynamoDB we can achieve this. And also using of workspace for environment isolation and CI gates for plan and apply is good to follow these steps. Okay, how do you run Ansible YOE Terraform? We can use we need to run Ansible via Terraform. Okay, we can use a local executor or remote executor provisioners after resource creation. And also alternatively we can leverage Ansible Terraform provider, or we can call Ansible playbook with a pipeline post Terraform apply. And this will ensures the infra is configured post provisioning without manual interventions. So that is how we can run Ansible via Terraform. And describe implementing network policies in Kubernetes. We can the network policies, like we can write a YAML scripts that will allow specific pod to pod communication, where let's say example, it will restrict some backend pods to accept the traffic only from the backend. And also policies are some version controlled, and that will enforce in CI before deployment stage itself. And also we can use a plugin like Calico, that is also for a network policy implementation. How do you handle secrets management across environment? We can for secret management we can use let's say if you are using any of the cloud provider, especially like AWS, we can use AWS Secret Manager for some dynamic secrets. And also we can use the GitLab CI variables, or masked and protected, if you see. And within some application within the some script level, if you wanted to use, means we can use the environment variables in some secured manner. That is also one of the approach. And we can also set up a pipeline mechanism or a script in such a way where the pipeline should fail if it found something a non-approved format of storing of credentials like that. Okay. And and moving to the next question, explain how to troubleshoot slow application performance within the AWS. We can use cloud watch service where we can check the metrics of CPU utilization, input output and latency, and we can drill into the RDS performance insights and EC2 enhanced monitoring, and we can analyze the application logs via the ELK and request the traces via X-ray, and we can identify bottlenecks and we can validate it and fix under some by using some test load, and then we are going to perform some root cause analysis and prepare a POC, SOP kind of thing for further in future. It will be helpful to perform some troubleshooting instantly and do not occur in future. Okay. And what is the difference between continuous delivery and deployment? It is a kind of a basic question only, where continuous delivery automatically it will builds, tests and integrates tools, and we are going to deploy into a staging, and then manual approval is required in a production. This is a continuous delivery. If we talk about continuous deployment, where if you see in the continuous delivery, only building, testing and integration, and after that we are deploying. Okay. And here there is a manual intervention is required for approval into a deployment part. Here in the continuous deployment, after the approval, a full automation with the code commit to production push at there is no any manual intervention is required. Okay. That is a simple kind of basic difference, continuous delivery and continuous deployment. Delivery in the sense there is a manual approval is required in the delivery environment, that means into the staging. If it is continuous deployment, then there is no kind of manual intervention is required, only with the help of pipeline mechanism, whatever the logic we have written, that will take care of everything from code commit to the till deployment. Okay. And moving to the next, how do you configure Kubernetes horizontal pod autoscaler? We can define a horizontal pod autoscaler with CPU or memory or some custom metrics, whatever we are required. Okay. And moving to the next question, how do you enforce security in Kubernetes cluster? For security within a Kubernetes cluster, we need to enable a role-based access controls, basically RBAC, and network policies, and we can restrict pod permissions, and we can use pod security policies and gateway keeper for security compliance. And also we can enforce image signing for scanning, like Trevi, Snake, like that tools before they deploy into the target environment. And we can also enable audit logs in Kubernetes and cloud for monitoring purpose. And describe the process in incident management in production. First of all, the process will be like the incident will be triggered with the help of logging and monitoring mechanism like Prometheus and Grafana. Prometheus was the alerting mechanism actually. The alert will be triggered via the Prometheus alert manager to the respective email or Slack notification, and team follows a playbook, like identify first. After that, assign the severity, how much it was impacting based on that, and then mitigation, and also the rollback also will be executed and will be patched via the pipelines, and there is a kind of a follow-up will be done with after the post incident to review, a kind of root cause analysis documentation will be performed, and it's kind of lessons learned after the incident. Okay, and we can train the team accordingly, like to not to occur again in the future, and be ready for I mean for future like outage or incident. Okay, and I think these are the questions I have faced, and yeah, I will surely come up with some new video in upcoming videos. Stay tuned for more videos. Thank you. Sorry for disturbance in middle. Okay.